It. Ever heard of a sultan who wasn't just a ruler, but a master storyteller? A man whose words were as powerful as his armies. Today, we're diving into the incredible life of a figure often called the story sultan. This isn't just a history lesson, it's the tale of how stories can shape empires. So, who was this legendary ruler? We're talking about a sultan who lived centuries ago during a golden age of art, science, and literature, while many leaders of his time were focused solely on conquest and power. He understood something profound. The heart of an empire is unjust its treasury or its military might, but its culture and its shared identity. And what's the best way to build a culture? Through stories. From a young age, he was fascinated by tales. While other princes trained with swords, he spent hours in the royal library devouring ancient epics, folk tales from distant lands, and the verses of great poets. He didn't just read them. He learned to perform them. He understood the rhythm, the suspense, the humor, and the emotion that could hold an audience captive. This wasn't just a hobby, it was his secret weapon. When he ascended to the throne, his court was unlike any other. Yes, there were generals and advisors, but the most honored guests were often poets, artists, and storytellers from every corner of the known world. He would host grand gatherings, not for political posturing, but for storytelling competitions. He would sit not on a high throne, but among his people, listening intently, sometimes even jumping in to add a dramatic flair or a witty line to a story being told. Imagine the scene, a sprawling palace courtyard under a blanket of stars. Torches flicker, casting dancing shadows on marble walls. The air is filled with the scent of incense and spices. In the center, a storyteller from a far-off desert tribe is weaving a tale of jinn and magic, his voice rising and falling with the drama. And right there, completely engrossed, is the most powerful man in the land, the Sultan himself, his eyes wide with the same wonder as the children sitting at his feet. But his love for stories went far beyond mere entertainment. He used them as a tool of governance. When a dispute arose between two villagers, he wouldn't just issue a decree. He would tell a story, a parable about two foolish brothers who fought over a single fig tree until it withered and died, bearing fruit for neither. The villagers would understand the moral that conflict destroys what cooperation could nurture far more deeply than any legal document could convey. He also used stories to build bridges. His empire was vast, a mosaic of different cultures, languages, and beliefs. To unite them, he commissioned the grandest project of his reign, the Great Compendium of Tales. He sent scholars and scribes to every province, tasking them with collecting local legends, fables, and histories. They gathered tales from mountain nomads, coastal fishermen, and city merchants. These stories were then translated, beautifully illustrated, and compiled into magnificent, leather-bound volumes. Copies were sent to libraries and schools across the empire. For the first time, a child in a northern mountain village could read a story cherished by a family in a southern port city. People began to see the common threads of humanity in each other's tales, the same fears, the same hopes, the same love for family, and the same desire for justice. The stories became a shared language, fostering a sense of unity and mutual respect that no army could ever impose. The Sultan himself was the chief editor and often a contributor. He would take a simple folk tale and embellish it, adding layers of meaning and philosophy that reflected his vision for the empire. His personal favorite was the story of the Weaver of Winds, a tale about a humble artisan who could weave the very air into beautiful tapestries. For the Sultan, this was a metaphor for leadership. A true ruler doesn't just command, they take the invisible threads of their people's dreams and weave them into a magnificent, shared reality. His influence was immense. The story Sultan created a cultural renaissance. His capital city became a beacon for intellectuals and artists. New forms of poetry flourished, theatre blossomed, and the art of miniature painting, used to illustrate the story manuscripts, reached unparalleled heights of sophistication. He proved that investing in culture wasn't a luxury. It was the foundation of a strong, resilient, and enlightened society. Of course, he was still a sultan. He led armies, he navigated complex political alliances, and he defended his borders. But history remembers him not for the battles he won, but for the stories he told. His enemies might have feared his armies, but his people loved him for the world he built in their imaginations. He gave them a sense of pride, a shared heritage, and a belief in the power of words. As he grew older, his storytelling sessions became the stuff of legend. Dignitaries from foreign lands would come not just to sign treaties, but to hear the Sultan spin a tale. They would leave not just with trade agreements, but with stories that they would carry back to their own people, spreading his legacy far and wide. Even on his deathbed, they say he wasn't dictating his will or naming his successor. He was telling one last story to his grandchildren, a tale about a star that fell to earth and became a single perfect pearl, reminding them that even the smallest things can hold a universe of wonder. So what's the legacy of the story Sultan for us today? It's a powerful reminder that leadership isn't just about strategy and statistics. It's about connection, empathy, and inspiration. It's about understanding that the stories we tell ourselves about who we are, where we come from, and where we're going are the most powerful force for change in the world. His empire of tales may have been built on words, but its foundations were stronger than stone. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the past. If you love stories about incredible figures from history, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments what historical leader you find most fascinating. See you next time.